Hello again. I'm reacting to SCP-1204 or SCP-1204. Nice. From Dr. Bob. Going back to the doctor again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I will have the doctor's channel in the description as always. Let's check out SCP-1204 or SCP-1204.
The night had teeth. Cold, biting teeth. The kind that gnawed into your bones and made you forget the world is anything but black and white. The shelter was a wreck, as usual. Damp wood and rotting walls that smelled of decay and forgotten dreams. He was used to it. The man, mid-30s, rough around the edges, hair unkempt like a wolf on a bad day, had earned his spot in the pecking order of the homeless. He was a loner, a shadow in a place full of them, drifting between bodies and bottles. There was no pretense left. He wasn't here for company, wasn't here for salvation, just warmth. All he wanted was to forget about the crushing loneliness that accompanied him every day. Tonight, like most nights, the fire crackled in the corner, the dim orange glow casting long shadows that danced against the walls. The others gathered around it, huddling for warmth, sharing cigarettes or stories of better times. That was when she showed up. She was younger, mid-30s at the oldest, but there was a weariness in her eyes that suggested she had lived through things that had aged her far too quickly. She stumbled in from the darkness, making her way toward him, but he didn't notice her at first. He didn't really care. He didn't care much for anyone.
"Got a light?"
she asked, her voice rough and scratchy. He didn't answer, just tossed her his lighter. She caught it mid-air with a fluid motion, like it was nothing. She lit a cigarette, inhaled deeply, and passed it to him without a word. For a moment, neither of them said anything. The fire crackled and the wind howled outside. They both stared into the flames, each lost in their own thoughts, the silence thick between them. Then, she leaned in. He wasn't sure what happened. One second, she was beside him. The next, she was right there, her lips on his. A kiss. It was quick, almost too quick to register at first. But then, it wasn't just a kiss. It was a surge of heat, an electric jolt that hit him straight in the chest. It wasn't like any kiss he'd ever had before. It wasn't gentle or loving or fleeting. It was urgent, like she needed something from him. Or maybe he needed something from her. His mouth tingled, his body stiffening, every nerve alive, and yet wrong. There was a push, a pressure, like something was moving through him, something he couldn't place, something that didn't belong. A tightness deep in his throat, as if something was shifting inside him, pulling at him. And then, just as quickly as it had begun, it was over. She pulled away, leaving him breathless, his head spinning. She didn't say anything. She just stared at him for a second, her eyes unreadable, before turning and walking off into the darkness. The air still smelled of her, of smoke, of sweat, and something deeper. He tried to shake it off, chalk it up to the cold, to the usual weirdness of his existence. Just another transient connection, another flicker of something that would fade like everything else in his life. But that was the problem. It didn't fade. The next morning, he woke up feeling strange. His head ached like a freight train had passed through it. He tried to push himself up, but the world spun, dizzying and disorienting. His mouth felt dry, like he hadn't had a drink in days. But there was something more to it, something odd. The taste was metallic, bitter, and there was a lingering sensation at the back of his throat, like something had been there. He got up and staggered out of the shelter, squinting against the morning light. He could barely remember the night before. The fire, the people, her. He pushed it all aside. Just a bad dream, he told himself. As the day passed, something started to shift. His hands itched, his fingers twitching every time someone walked by. He needed something. Just a touch. He didn't care who, someone, anyone. The first time it happened, he touched a stranger's arm as they passed by, and his stomach twisted with a sudden need. Not just Physical warmth, not just the heat of skin. Something else. He didn't understand it, but the feeling clawed at him, relentless. He wanted more. More of that connection. More of whatever had been in that kiss. It was stupid. He'd never cared about these things before. Physical touch had always been something to avoid, something that made him feel trapped. But now he couldn't shake the craving. And then the disorientation hit. His body started acting up. He couldn't keep his balance. He'd lose track of what he was doing, drifting off, caught in the moment, completely unaware of where he was or how he got there. Sometimes he'd stare at a half-eaten sandwich, unable to remember how it had gotten into his hands. The confusion was getting worse. His body felt strange, like he wasn't entirely inside it anymore, like he was being pulled in different directions. He couldn't explain it, but he knew it wasn't just a hangover. Something had changed inside him. Something had shifted. And all he could think of was her, the woman with the strange eyes, the kiss that had felt so wrong yet so familiar. He couldn't explain it, but every time he thought about it, that strange pull came back, the longing. He needed to find her. He had to understand what had happened. The days bled together. He wandered through the city, searching for her. He needed her. She was different. She was meant for him. He knew it. There was no mistaking it. He started asking around, casually at first, as if it didn't matter. But it did.
You seen a woman? Tall, kinda wild-looking, dark hair?
People either ignored him or shrugged, offering vague answers that didn't get him anywhere. One night, a voice from behind him snapped him from his thoughts.
Looking for someone?
He turned sharply. A man, grizzled, unshaven, eyes distant, eyed him with a curious, almost amused gaze.
Yeah, have you seen her? She was here.
He gestured vaguely, as if that would somehow make it clear. The man squinted at him, then shook his head slowly.
Don't think I know her. Ain't nobody special around here. Best keep moving, brother.
The words stung more than he'd care to admit, but he couldn't stop.
$1 hot coffee, $2 iced coffee, and $1 16-ounce Wawa teas and fruit drinks.
He couldn't stop. He had to find her. Days passed in a haze of frustration, desperation curling around him like smoke. He could feel his mind.
Okay, at this point, it's like you're trying to find insanity. It's like you're trying to find your special girl, but at this point, it's all in your head. You cannot find the one you love. This is basically what it feels like, I'm guessing. It's all a nightmare. All in your head. She wasn't real. But that thing. Whatever that is.
And slipping, the grip on his own thoughts growing weaker. The memories. They weren't his. Not all of them. A flash of a man in a suit looking down at him with pity. A woman laughing softly, brushing her fingers across his hand. Was that real? No, it couldn't be. Could it? Then came the voices. Whispers at first, like wind passing through cracks. He'd catch fragments of conversations that weren't his, feelings that didn't belong to him. The strange moments flickered in and out like dreams, too fleeting to hold on to. But he knew them. He was sure of it. They were his. He was becoming someone else, and he couldn't stop it. Finally, one night, after another endless search through the alleys and dark corners of the city, he saw her. It was like the universe had handed her to him, a gift wrapped in shadows. She stood outside a shelter, smoking a cigarette, her back turned to him. For a moment, his heart skipped, his breath caught in his chest. She was real. She was here. He stepped forward, his body already moving before his mind could catch up.
Hey,
he called out, voice cracking with urgency. She turned, her eyes meeting his for a moment. There was nothing in them, no recognition, no spark, just indifference.
do I know you?
She asked flatly, her voice detached. She took another drag of her cigarette, as if the question was no more important than the ash falling from the end of it.
I'm the guy, the one from the fire.
He stammered, stepping closer. He couldn't get the words out fast enough.
You remember?
Her face didn't change. She exhaled the smoke, letting it curl into the cold air between them.
No, I don't.
His stomach dropped. He took another step forward, trying to close the distance between them.
But you have to. You kissed me.
She stepped back, her face hardening.
I don't know you. Stay away from me.
The coldness in her voice stung, sharper than the night air. He blinked, trying to process what she'd said. The words didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. She took one last look at him, eyes briefly flicking to the ground, before she turned and walked back into the shelter without another word. He stood there, frozen. His mind raced, pulse pounding in his ears. It wasn't real. This wasn't right. She was supposed to be the one. But her rejection echoed in his head, louder than the whispers that still lingered in the back of his mind. He couldn't make sense of it. He was alone again. He wandered the streets, lost and confused. He had no sense of time anymore, no sense of direction. The world spun around him. People moved in and out of his vision, but all he could think of was her. The craving wouldn't stop. His mind had unraveled, replaced by a single, consuming need for touch, for connection, for something to fill the hollow inside him. He started approaching people on the street, random strangers, hoping to recapture that lost sensation. The briefest glance, the lightest brush of contact, even a fleeting moment. It was never enough. It would never be enough. None of them were her. But then, the little things started to creep in. A drop of blood on his shirt, a cough that lingered longer than it should, an ache in his chest that didn't feel quite right. He didn't think much of it. It wasn't even the worst thing that had happened to him. He was used to discomfort, but then it started getting harder to ignore. His nose never stopped bleeding, just a constant trickle, like a faucet that couldn't be turned off. He wiped it away, again and again, but it kept coming back. The pain in his head was the worst part. It felt like his brain was being pulled in two different directions. The strain was enough to make him dizzy, to make him feel like he was losing his grip on everything. The headaches came and went, but the dizziness stayed. His body grew weak, his legs unsteady beneath him.
Insanity.
He couldn't think straight anymore, couldn't remember the last time he'd felt right. His memory was falling apart, just like the rest of him. Faces blurred, becoming strangers, even though they weren't. He'd look at a person, and for a split second, he'd think he was looking at someone else entirely, someone from another life, another place. His mind was slipping, falling faster into madness. The voices were getting louder, mixing with his own thoughts, urging him on, pushing him further, telling him to find her. It was incessant. It was all he heard. His grip on reality was nearly gone. His body ached, his memory shattered, and all he could think of was her. His body was failing him now, and he knew it. The dizziness was worse, his legs weak and trembling under the weight of whatever was crawling beneath his skin. The blood, the constant nosebleeds. But it didn't matter. The city outside didn't matter anymore. Only she mattered, and she had rejected him. There was only one thing he could do now. He gave up. The woman was gone, and so was his mind. He retreated into an abandoned building. It was falling apart, just like everything else in his life. He found a small, dark room in the back of the building, a cramped, suffocating space. But it wasn't enough. The room felt too open, too exposed. He searched the room until he found an even smaller crawl space, hidden behind a pile of debris. It was tight, the walls pressed in on him from all sides, the air stale and suffocating. But it was perfect. Here, he could be alone with his thoughts. Here, he could escape everything, even if just for a little while. It became his sanctuary, his final refuge. The pain in his head was unbearable now. It was as if his brain was being torn apart, like it was shifting inside his skull, pulling in every direction. He bled more than ever, leaving trails of crimson along the walls. His body was failing. His bones felt fragile, his muscles weak. Each breath was harder to take. He could feel it now. He was dying. This thing inside him was winning. It had taken everything. His thoughts, his body, his very identity. His whole life he had wanted to be with someone, to be loved. Eventually, it all became too much. He curled up in the tight crawl space and closed his eyes. He died there, in the dark, alone. The parasite left with him, taking his life and his obsession, his memory of her. The building was just as forgotten as the man who had died inside it. The Foundation team arrived after a quiet tip-off, another case of strange disappearances in the area. It wasn't uncommon for these to lead to a dead end, but this place felt different. There was something off in the air. They entered the crumbling structure with methodical precision, boots crunching across shattered tile, footsteps echoing through the hollow silence. Decay clung to every wall. The stench of mold, of time left unchecked, filled the air. But that's not what caught their attention. It was the body. The body was transported to Site 77 for further examination. After conducting a post-mortem autopsy, the Foundation confirmed their suspicions. This was no ordinary case. This was SCP-1204, a parasite far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Classified as Euclid, this anomaly was now a matter of ongoing study, but it came with a chilling understanding. It wasn't just the body it infected, it consumed the mind too. SCP-1204 is, in its most basic form, a human host for a parasitic being. Sounds pretty simple, right? Here's where it gets fun. This parasite is semi-corporeal.
Define fun. We all know how that's gonna go with the word fun. In the SCP world, nothing's truly fun. Well, I won't say that. SCP-999 is fun to be around, so yeah. So there are some fun SCPs in there, but not a lot. Like, this is definitely not fun.
Meaning it's there, but not really. More of an unseen, invisible presence that you can only detect through weird electrical pulses when it makes contact with the host. So how does it spread? It's not through your typical cut, scratch, or bite stuff. No, the parasite transfers when two people share extended oral contact. Think intense, drawn-out kissing, where a mass of pharyngeal tissue from the infected person actually stretches into the mouth of the other, and then bam, both are now walking parasites. Most known victims of SCP-1204 have been transient or homeless individuals. Whether their conditions made them more vulnerable to the infection, or if the parasite simply preys on the most neglected, is still up for debate. These people weren't in the best of health to begin with, and the parasite didn't exactly do them any favors. It has a special way of ruining things. Once infected, the change isn't immediate, but it doesn't take long for the host to feel something. That something turns into an overwhelming need to be in constant physical contact with others. It's not about just warming up by the fire or catching some friendly banter. It's a deep, gnawing hunger for touch, for connection, and it can't be quenched. But there's more. The infected person's obsession starts to center on one particular person, usually someone they think is their romantic partner. It's not even a healthy kind of love. It's all-consuming, parasitic, and completely off the rails. The infected person will do whatever it takes to get close to that one person, to feel them, to be them. Everything else becomes secondary, and sometimes not even relevant. Now let's talk about the physical symptoms. Hosts bleed internally. Their bodies start to shut down, and their minds? Memory loss kicks in, and it's not the oops, I forgot where I put my keys kind of deal. No. It's full-on disintegration. They forget entire days. Sometimes they forget faces, people they've known their entire lives. And their memories, the ones that are left, fragments, bits and pieces that don't belong to them. Strangers' memories, memories of past hosts, or just random, unexplainable flashes. Physically, things get worse. The body deteriorates. The brain's tissue begins to degrade, especially the hippocampus. Oh, and did I mention they experience constant internal bleeding? As the body can't keep up anymore.
What is this? Yes! Like I said, fun, right? Great.
The infected host stops looking for new victims. They go off to hide, typically in a small, isolated place like a crawl space or some other tight, suffocating corner of the world. And that's where they die, alone, decayed, and forgotten. It's not pretty. And that's the end.
I'm Rand Spear. Insurance companies try to cheat you out of what you deserve, and some lawyers go...
like I said, not pretty, no. Alright, that was SCP 1204 or SCP 1204. Nice. Parasite. Great. We need them around here. God, no. Anyway, enough parasite stuff. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll have Dr. Bob's channel in the description below as always. And yeah. Bye. Good, no. The damn parasites. Oh, I'm back to another one really later tonight or tomorrow. Anyway, again, bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.